Today on Perpetual Projects, we are going to try to fix the cruise control on our 92 Dodge D250. I suspect that it's got a bad clock spring. And the reason I suspect that is when I turn the steering wheel, I can hear a crunchy in there. That generally means the clock spring has failed. Sometimes you'll actually see bits of the clock spring come out between the steering wheel and the little cover here. Ours isn't doing that currently, but you never know. Our option number one is going to be to pull the steering wheel off, access the clock spring, and test it. And if it is in fact bad, I'm going to try to take it apart and see if I can fix it. The reason I'm going to try to fix mine instead of buy another one is because they are unobtainium. And if you do find one, they go for somewhere around $250 for a used one on eBay is where I've found them most frequently. And I am not willing to spend $250 on one that could be in near the same shape as the one that I have. I mean, it may work when I put it in, but it could fail 10 miles later. And I'm not willing to spend that kind of money. So if we can, in fact, fix our clock spring, I'm going to show you how I did it. And if that doesn't work out, I'm going to show you my workaround. All right, so first thing you have to do is pull your steering wheel off. It has one big nut in the center, and then you have to use a steering wheel puller, grab a hold of it, and pull it off. I set my wheels straight so I can put it back on straight so that it's clocked right. I'm not sure if these ones are, some of them are keyed. Looks like this one is. It has a wide groove here at the top, so you can only put it back on one way easily. I imagine you could probably get it back on there the wrong way if you tried hard enough. Once you get that off, we're gonna have to take this cover off. It's got a screw here for sure, and I feel one here, and I feel like it should have another one on this side. I'm gonna have to get down and get under there and look. But you take this off, there's a couple screws in the bottom, then we'll get to the clock spring and show what we find there. Okay, so to release this, there's just these little tabs here. You just gotta pry that hook out on top and bottom. We're gonna go to the bench and inspect this. Okay, so the way we're gonna test this is we're gonna test for continuity from the wires on this side to the pins on this side. And I don't know what the order is, so I'm just gonna kind of search for it. I'm gonna start with the horn, which it was working, so we should find continuity on this one. Okay, so this pin here is the horn. Then we're gonna go over to our 4 wires in the cruise control side of this. This doesn't have airbags, so that one's good. This is not looking good, guys. I don't think this is the problem with our cruise control. That one's good. That one's good.
So as long as it has some sort of continuity on one of the pins, then it's working properly?
Well, so this is like a ribbon cable in there, and it has 5 wires that pass through it. And I was assuming it was broke because I could hear the scratchiness that you hear when it happens, but this is not our problem. So now we have to troubleshoot further to figure out what's going on with our cruise control. So now we're gonna test our switches. We're just gonna flip this around so we can get our meter in there. Looks like the brown and the gray wire go together, so I'm gonna assume that that is the ground that is coming into our steering wheel or our clock, through the clock spring to our cruise control switches. And then the black wire is the other one that goes to the on-off switch. So we'll put those in there. With it off, it's open. With it on, it's got continuity. So the on switch is working. We're gonna leave our, we can switch these around because this is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't care. It's just looking for continuity. It doesn't matter what the polarity is. So we'll go on to our green wire next. And that's either going to be set or resume. And then our blue wires last. So that's working backwards to my thinking. I'm going to have to check the wiring diagram, but that appears to be working because when I hold the switch, it breaks the ground or breaks the contact. When I let go of it, it collapses it or closes it. It appears to be working in that it's doing something. It's backwards to what I was expecting, but I'm gonna go check the wiring diagram and see what the next step to check from here is. So the last thing that we're gonna check before we go in and start digging into the wiring diagram is the cable in from this cruise module to the actual throttle over there. And we're just gonna, to check this, you just gotta take these screws out. And we're not checking anything electronic on this, we're just checking the mechanical connection from this to the engine. And then also, we're gonna look over our vacuum line, because this is vacuum operated, controlled by the computer, but vacuum operated, and make sure that all that looks okay. And we'll just go over the wiring out here and make sure all of it looks like it's good shape. It looks like it's going into the main harness, which goes over to the computer, which is in the fender well over here. So that's probably not the problem. Somebody put Hydro Boost on this and it's right in my way. So it's got a couple of those little star washers that kind of hold it on there.
Did we take this off when we did the Hydro Boost conversion?
No. And just for the record, it did work after the Hydro Boost conversion, so it's not a vacuum canister problem, I don't think. But if we can't find anything else wrong, maybe we will try to get some kind of vacuum canister container for it. I think we found our problem. So that is all the way pulled as far as it'll go, and it hasn't even started to pull back on the throttle yet. So there's no way this can pull on the throttle cable. I wonder, something is not adjusted right, maybe? All right, so there is an adjustment on this cable here. And as you can see, ours is not adjusted anymore. I'm gonna take this apart and see if I can figure out how that's supposed to work. I doubt very much that you guys are gonna be able to see this, but this clip right there is what locks that cable once you get it adjusted. And it was unclipped like halfway out of the bracket. Okay, so I just adjusted it so that the cable was tight against the throttle linkage up here when everything was off. That way, as soon as it starts to move, it starts to pull on the throttle and put that clip back in on the top right there. Now that we're looking at this, it seems to me that this may have been a problem for a while, because for a long time it didn't seem like the cruise control could achieve full throttle or even half throttle. But I was okay with that, because if you stand on the throttle with this on a trailer, it will make lots of smoke and the EGTs get very, very hot. So now I'm gonna have to pay more attention when we're on the cruise control, I guess. We're gonna jump in it, drive it down the road, verify that it works, and we're gonna take you guys along. Moment of truth. Let's see if the cruise works. We won't know until we go up this other hill. Hey, we have cruise! We also have water and fuel. I think that's because I washed it. There's not water in the fuel.
We're not going to worry about that. That is out of the scope of this vehicle, this video.
Anyway, so pretty simple fix. And if you have one of these trucks, I suggest checking that first before you take the steering column apart. Just a tip. If you're interested in these trucks, we work on this one not super often, but occasionally. So subscribe and maybe you can catch the next video. See you soon.